swears I sit next to him. I'm not sitting next to him.
It's really
It's me.
It's still good.
Sections.
Oh.
Is it Michael? Is that oh, Village Lights. Yeah, that's yeah. We need some.
Who's on this? Oh, the right.
I mean, numbers are exciting.
Baby, I got better Brown.
That's gonna be a quick one.
It sucks.
Yes.
This is the last meeting in February. Well,
Where's Howell's room? Is that the one who is like?
yeah, I texted him. He
It is one
goes,
intersection
No one wants to listen to that.
Stacy is doing a bunch of, I guess, schoolwork and stuff like that. So his kids, she said they're directing very well. Scrambling. I don't know. I can't beat him.
Yeah. What's happening? I was like,
He's beers.
it's 18 years.
My mom. He's an expert. What's his name? Jason, yeah. He's disabled, right? He got banged up?
Oh, yeah. He was like, at one point, he's like, this one I saw. And then I went,
Yeah.
First time I did it, I used the grill was not
When I left, you got trained. Oh, you were covered.
turned off the middle burner, you know?
yeah, I was like, oh.
Yeah, it happens to the
That was essentially it.
It's funny.
I think he was first.
Yeah.
Saying awesome.
I did that once when I
did the work, right?
It's like,
Yeah.
You can't fight it.
Doing it, remember the big blackout years ago, so your fire out. And it was just those day that day, and everything was on the grill. Awesome. Boiled water on the grill. It takes a long time to boil a big firework.
I think this is
what if it's Armani was I'm trying to stand it out. So actually, I drew a lot of inspiration.
What do they do?
I think the IRS, that makes people feel like supported and secure, and that's why I chose it. This one, everyone loves.
Oh, that's so bad. 6 and 1. Yeah.
Where you going?
Agenda. Here you go.
That's
Enjoy.
that's DJ Dan.
You're not on it.
I know.
That's so Dan. He's like putting on this. He's communicating with his guys. Did you see that?
The agenda came out.
And then
This is please. I did not read the topic.
they're just
What is that?
see. That's like the time I 6 a.m. That's the time when you go home from the gym. I would call that like yeah. Yeah. They're just hanging out.
All my lights are green.
Yeah.
The side lights on.
Don't know.
They have like it's
I knew you were just saying.
Oh, the Northminster Avenue, that's
That's the one.
That's-
That's double concourse road. That's concourse road.
Oh, what they have in North Bags? Yeah, that's.
That's the one that you built for project.
oh yeah,
Yes.
this new law. Oh, is this what we were talking about earlier?
It's every Sunday night. It's gonna deter them because I'm not gonna walk with them.
Yes.
That's good.
128.
So that's. It's not going to stop all these districts and residents.
It's, they're just gonna be separate things. We tried, didn't I? They
That's
entertained.
right. Margin alteration or social improvements, demolition or
I don't know.
Yeah.
Are we accepting them
You guys doing tonight? Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing in honor of those serving in the military. Great, thank you. Thank you everyone for coming tonight. Do you want to do this, Kath, before we do the reports, or do you do it? Okay. All right. Make a motion to approve previous board minutes from November 4th, 2024, and November 18th, 2024. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. That's it?
Yeah.
Is there something I said? I just need to
They
sign it.
emailed me and they're like,
Meeting's
your
over.
classroom? I was like, I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, just have to sign the paper? Okay. Suffolk County Police, come on down. Thank you for coming tonight.
Of course.
You got your winter gear on now, I guess?
It's a cold one out there. It's a cold one. I have in here, I have a larceny of a basketball hoop. And I have a hit and run that happened on Windsor. And then I know we've had some issues on Lombardi with crew missing at larceny and stuff like that.
Right.
It's not, I feel like that first street gets everything.
Yes, those gentlemen there behind you will tell you that also.
Yeah.
So trust me, that out. We were talking about this before we came out. What number do we call if these people have an issue, they see people roaming on their block? Not a 911 call, right? Is there a call that
You
they...
can call the non-emergency line. You can do 911. You can.
If we do 911 and say there's suspicious people walking on the block, are we going to be like, okay, we'll see?
No, I mean, we still respond no matter what, but it's probably a lower priority than other things, depending on what we have going on that night. But every night's different, so.
Because they saw something the night before, the incident happened.
Yeah.
They had no cameras. And then the next night, what happened is the car window gets broken. And it's at the same night that the basketball was going on.
No, it's 2 different nights.
Two different nights, but So
Yeah.
the better thing is to call then?
If you see, like we always say, if you see someone sketchy, it can't hurt to just have us drive by, even if we don't see anything, you know, I mean, can we stop a person like, hey, what are you doing here? We can, but then they'd be like, well, why can't we walk through the neighborhood? But if you see something, yeah, why not?
Okay, again, when you say call, what number are we talking
You can
about?
call 911, or you can do 631-852 COPS, which is a non-emergency line.
All right, I'm sorry, 631,
852 COPS. Whatever that turns out. I don't know.
but now that number there is if you see a suspicious activity and you want them, is that the number we should be using in general or 911?
It depends on the incident. Yeah, I mean, if you see someone walking through and, you know, they look like they're doing something bad, yeah, but if you just see someone walking through, taking a stroll, that doesn't look like they belong there, I know a lot of people, like, know everyone around here, then they would be like, hey, I don't know this guy, you can call the non-emergency line. But if it looks like something's going down, I would call 911.
So if you see somebody at 11:30
Yeah,
at night
and he's
with
got a brick in his hand,
well,
call
even
911.
dressed in
Yeah.
dark with a COVID mask and a backpack.
Yeah, even if we just drive down the block, like you call 911, we drive down the block. We drove down the block, now that guy knows we're in the area. At least, you
I
know.
mean, we'll probably be taking advantage of it.
I mean, it's happening a lot, so.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
sometimes
can't say call, you know, like crazy if you see a guy walking down the block, but if you see someone looking suspicious at 2 a.m., yeah, definitely.
Because if we call 911 too many times and crying wolf and nothing happens,
Right.
then,
No, 100%.
then
But,
we'll be down on the totem pole.
right.
So that's why I'd rather have a more accurate number where we can say,
Yeah.
listen, we know you guys have been on North Windsor having fun giving tickets to a lot of people, which is fine. They go through the stop signs, and there's been a lot of enforcement in the last week or so. And Bobby Holt, one of our residents, retired police officer,
Yeah.
I think he did go and talk, and people have been given tickets. So, you know, if you guys want to hang out on Lombardi like they're hanging out on North Windsor, then that would be great also.
We can get you some stop sign tickets and some suspicious people if you want.
Yes, definitely.
So, all right, does anybody on the board have any other questions? Any other residents? Mike, about your basketball hoop?
Yeah, the best one thing is, well, the video wasn't clear enough for the tech. I guess like 2 months ago they found a firearm on the lorry. And they said it was from something that happened in Bay Shore and was found in Brightwaters, and the arrest was made. Do you know any details to it?
I do not know anything about that, no. I just get my little report for the month,
Yeah.
and that's what I have, but.
I was just wondering if, they said it's a firearm, but I think it was a violation. So.
If we wanted to reach out to the precinct, would we be able to get that information as residents?
Yeah, the request.
Yeah, you probably have to do a request.
Yeah,
for that one.
no,
Yeah.
I think that was a hit and run, I think, in Bayshore, Fifth Avenue, and the guy, when he was fleeing, tossed the firearm at the window.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
Anything with the food truck? Any like something goes on over there, you know? I see you around.
Domestics, but nothing, yeah.
Is there anybody in the back, anything else for the officer?
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Thank you for your time, Dave. Report to the mayor and the trustees. Trustee Fawcett?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, trustees, thanks for coming, everybody. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Did want to first start off with, and I'm not going to steal your thunder, Mr. Mayor, but it was nice to see all the little kids at the tree lighting on Saturday night. Can't believe how much that event has grown over the last few years. I mean, it just shows you the health of our village that so many little ones have come out. You know, that'll be a memory. Being a father, who's my youngest, is now in college. I remember those days when we used to go when they were little. So I know that they love it. They still love it, and it was a real nice event. Reports from the DPW, regular maintenance. They put up a lot of decorations with the garden club. They've been mowing a lot. We're trying to get away from, if you notice around the lakes, mowing all the leaves around the lakes. You know, basically the wildlife people that we spoke to said it creates a natural habitat. So I instructed the DPW just to mow like 1 or 2 feet on the grass, and leave most of the leaves around the lake. So if you see that, that's why. They've done, in their cleanups, they've done 5.83 tons of leaves was removed from Mississippi Park with mulching, and then they mulched the leaves as well. I think we're going to try to go to straight mulching next year. Maybe just have the guys keep running over the leaves and mulch and leave them in place. They are a natural fertilizer for grass, and they also do help with drainage, runoff. They also did some tree stump grinding. They did fix the sinkhole on Richland. They've been doing coal patching, and basically, keeping our village going. Whenever something needs to get done, they do it. We only have a 5-man crew, and everybody's got vacation time, so they get it done when they can. But if there's anything you see, please use the app, My Brightwaters app. I did 2 things today. There was a right-of-way issue where somebody decided to take all their leaves and drop it down one of our back streets. And then I saw another house which had 5 storage containers on the back of their property, which Bob will be talking to them tomorrow about. So if you see something, please report it. Use the app. That's the fastest way. Bob already knew about it when I came in tonight. So please do that and be safe. Remember, it's darker now, and there's leaves, and it's going to get wet, and it gets dangerous, and we don't want to clip any of our many pedestrians that walk around this village. Thank you.
Okay, great. Trustee Pettit?
Yeah, so as far as traffic and safety or anything else that's going on in the village, obviously with the Suffolk police hit on, multiple incidents like that. Holiday season is here as far as, Amazon packages and stuff like that. You gotta be careful, people are grabbing packages and stuff like that. Like the Suffolk cop said, report any crimes or suspicious incidents. And we'll be talking about the traffic study tonight, which will hopefully lead to whatever we end up doing for the traffic in the village.
Okay, great. Thank you. Trustee Del Vecchio?
Events. Everyone who came out this weekend for anything, including Santa pictures or the Christmas tree lighting, it was a great time, except for my kids, but they were terrified. But so later this month, starting December 7th, we have the Light the Night, but it's not Light the Night, it's Light the Town. So go ahead and check out Main Street in Bayshore for that. We are still selling kits. They're $10 per kit here at Village Office if you want to light up your house, but it's not going to be the same as it was like 2 years ago. So definitely hit up Main Street Bayshore for that. We're having our own Small Business Saturday on December 14th. We also have our annual Christmas Eve caroling in front of the insurance building on Christmas Eve starting at 5:15. And then the Hanukkah menorah lighting, which will be December 29th, organized by the Chabad of Town of Islip and Rabbi Stillerman, and that will be at 4 p.m. That gets us into January.
Great. All right, thank you. Trustee Pettit?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everybody. Just Code's been busy, helping out with the special events this time of year in the village. Bob, of course, has been busy trying to close out permits for people. There's a lot of construction going on in the village. During the holidays, we were relaxing our restrictions on overnight parking because many families have kids home from college, so you're not fitting all those cars in your driveway. So we were working with residents on that, and that just went around Thanksgiving. We'll do the same thing around Christmas and New Year's as well, just try to help people out. And again, if you have people staying over, just call Village Hall, call the code car, and let them know so you don't end up with a ticket. One thing that we're going to be exploring next year is the private security. We've been talking about it. It's in the early stages right now. We're just discussing it. It's an important issue right now that we're going to have to do something with what's going on in the village as far as crime. We're not there yet, but I think come January we're going to have a public discussion about it just to keep everything moving along. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, great. Thanks. I just have a couple of things. I just want to thank again the people who helped out at the photos with Santa and the Christmas tree lighting. Pat from the Brightwaters Deli donates the hot chocolate every year. We did 650 cups this year of hot chocolate and all the cookies that we give out. So it was a really big crowd, nice. And then with photos with Santa, Judy Sally, and Nikki Thor have been spearheading that for years. So we just want to thank the people who step up and help out. My daughter and some of her friends have been doing the hot chocolate for the last couple of years. So they kind of pushing me out of the picture a little bit on that, so I appreciate their help. Other than that, just the Historical Society also has something on Wednesday, the 18th, at the cabin, and we'll be sending some information out on that in the near future. But again, that's all I have. Let's see. As far as next on the agenda, we've been, what are we doing? We're just continuing the public discussion hearing.
Correct, but you want to make a motion to, when you're ready to continue the public hearing.
I just
The
wanted-
fire district first.
Oh, I'm sorry, the fire district first, sorry. The fire district came to us the last meeting and basically told us that our fees are gonna go up $44,000. $44,000 is what our whole budget went up last year, so they're already wiping out our 2% right away. So, we pretty much have no say in that. They dictate to us, we talk to them. But their costs are going up also. They have a lot more training now, their insurance, their equipment. So they're being hit with a lot of issues. We do have an issue with, we're helping to pay for some of their equipment for the apartments all being built in Bay Shore, which we don't feel is fair. But if you ask the average, I forget what the number is, but we pay less than a normal Bay Shore resident still. So make a motion to approve the Bay Shore Fire District contract for $397,536. I have a motion. I will make a motion to accept. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. The next thing is make a motion to continue the public hearing on the Architectural Review Board for the business district. Do I have to make a motion?
Make a motion to continue. Do you need a second?
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So we're now in the public hearing.
Yeah, we're really not going to vote on this tonight. We're still working on the details. The main purpose of this is in the business district. If someone wants to, say, paint the outside of their building bright pink or orange or something, that we can basically say you can't do this. It has nothing to do with the residential areas of the village, but we're trying to put the wording correctly so that we can control the look of the village a little bit. Does anybody on the board have anything to add or subtract to this? Again, we're not voting on it. I still want to sit down with the planning board to discuss it a little more. All right. Anybody in the public have anything to add or subtract to this? All right. Make a motion to, I'm not closing the public hearing.
If you want to.
Yes.
You can, and then we can just vote on it the next time, the next board meeting. But if you want to continue the public hearing again, then you need a motion to adjourn the public hearing. But I recommend closing, Mr. Mayor, because the sum and substance of what we want in the law is here. It'll never really vary from this. If we add a word or two, that doesn't change the scope and the context of the law, so it would be perfectly fine to close the public hearing.
All right, well, we could change a couple of things on it still if we have to.
Correct.
All right, make a motion to close the public hearing to consider adopting law 6, 2024. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, the next thing, 5 years ago, when I first came in, we tried making the entire village 25 miles an hour. We wanted everybody to take notice when they see the number 25, that they actually think a little bit. Unfortunately, at the time, we weren't able to do that for the entire village because of the size of the village. But about 2 or 3 years ago, New York State changed its laws so that we were able to do that now, so we can make the entire village a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. And this seems to be the way. I was discussing it with the mayor from Huntington Bay, and they're looking to change all theirs to 25 also. It's just, is it going to do much? But at least if someone's going 36, the police at least will stop. We want the police to do more enforcement, but if some blocks are 25 and some blocks are 30, if we're making their life tougher, then, you know, why do that? So I'd like to address it again. We have most of the signs that we need. So I'd like to have this public hearing again about converting everything to 25. So I'd like to make a motion to call for a public hearing to be held on Monday, January 6, 2024, 7:30 to
Just be,
consider
next edition, 25.
20
Oh, sorry.
2025.
Sorry.
To consider the adoption of local law 7-2025, village-wide 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. Do I have a second for the public hearing? All in favor? Aye.
Just for the record, Mr. Mayor, that would be local law 1-2025, because they go in sequence, they start, the new year, new numbers. So 7 would be the last law this year, 1-2025, starting in 2025.
Okay. All right, so we're having the public hearing in January. Okay, thank you. All right, the next thing, we keep talking about speed humps. The end of Lombardi, we played with the dead end a little bit. So in order to do these things in the correct way, you know, we've been strongly encouraged by insurance people and every lawyers and everybody to bring in someone to do a traffic study. So we're gearing the traffic study to north of the tracks right now. If we do the entire village, then nothing will ever get done. So if we focus on the north side of the village, maybe we could get something done. So we got 3 different prices. They were all over the board. The cheapest one was the one who did the last study in the village. That was in 1989. So they probably have most of the village mapped out already. So have anything for any questions from the board before I put it up?
We're doing the business district.
Yeah, they're doing the business district. They're doing Peter, Pine Acres, everything north of here, north of the tracks, basically, we're going to be doing. All right. So permission to hire Greenman, Peterson Inc., traffic engineers for traffic and safety safety investigation of various locations in the village for $19,876. Make a motion to hire. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right. Permission to pay Always Electric for the abandonment of the 5 light poles on Howells Road for $7,500. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. The next thing is what is Nicole, just the state aid, is that what it's for?
Yeah, it's to, basically a resolution requesting New York State to increase state aid and continue.
Okay. Make a motion to adopt resolution 12-2024 in support of the continued and increased state aid for local governments. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to approve the treasurer's report and abstracts. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, before I open to the public, does anybody on the board have anything else to add?
I'm going to put forth a local law next year to allow for, there's a lot of handicap and special needs adults in our village that need care, and a lot of that care has to happen on site because of funding from the state. So I'm going to put forward a local law, a local code that we can all review to discuss the ability for a person, a caregiver, to live in a exterior structure on a person's property. They will not be paying for that residence, but they will be able to stay there.
Well, do they have to create the living space?
Yeah. And if you know, in this village, we have a lot of houses with garages that have rooms above them. So, just
Yeah,
FYI.
you got to write that all up.
Yep. I will.
Excuse me? I'm sorry.
Could you specify?
Yeah, it has to be very specific law.
And you can specify who could live in?
Yes, yes,
Section of it?
yes, under the Americans with Disabilities Act, yes.
Okay.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay. All right, are you working with Charlie on that? Are you coming up with the right?
Now I'm going to do my initial thing. I'll hand it over to Charles when I'm done.
It's the first time I'm hearing it, so.
Okay.
I've been approached by several residents, including my own son, so it's a good thing to have on the books.
All right, anybody else on the board, anything else? All right, I make a motion to open up to the public. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Does anybody in the public have anything they'd like to add? Jennifer?
Hi, Jennifer Bartlett, 290 Windsor. I just wanted to say on behalf of the Garden Club, thank you for all the support for the holiday boxes. Just to give you an update, we are prepped and ready to go.
Nice.
Joe and our group of volunteers will be starting tomorrow morning at around 7:30 to do the install, and then we'll be back downtown tomorrow night around 4:45ish to get all the lights, the timer set and the lights on. So I hope everybody ultimately loves the design. We're very excited about it, and we're ready to go.
Okay, great, Jennifer. Thank you again for your help. I know you guys were there busy Sunday doing your thing, and no, we do appreciate it. And
Fluffed all the trees.
we're talking to the businesses in town, they appreciate it also, and any of the proceeds from the business raffle that they're having, will be at your disposal also. So instead of asking each business for a couple of dollars, most of them are participating. Right now, first prize is the 50-50 raffle. Second prize, the basket is about $600 plus in gift cards and merchandise. And third prize is the Imaginations Watch. So I anticipate that really starting to really flow this week. So again, thank you and your group for your help. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. When are you going to get Uncle Nick out there to help us?
In spirit. In spirit.
Yeah, in spirit, 7:30 in spirit.
At 4:45, so that's
Can I just ask, what would it have cost to do the whole village for that traffic study? Did you get a price on the whole village?
No, we didn't, Joe. First up,
I mean, it's much smaller over there.
yeah, well, it's really not smaller mileage-wise if you add around all the lakes and the roads and Woodland, and then that goes south on, Bayway and South Snag, Concourse East, West, and Windsor. You're really at least doubling it. So, the thought was to hit these high areas here where we are having issues. Right now, I'm not saying anything I want to do on the lakes, I'm going to be told no, but, right now I want to try to do what I can do. And it's been, with the speed humps on Windsor, speed humps on Lombardies, people on Peters coming pitchforks and torches at us. The people on Peters and Ackerson are going to find that the traffic flow is normal traffic flow. It's just unfortunate people are driving too fast. So that's why we'll bring these people in. They'll probably get started in about after the holidays, so they're going to start in January. And then if we feel it being productive, then we will look to the south. So. All right.
Thank you.
Carl Fraser, 514 Richmond Boulevard. Just a continuation of the question regarding the study. How long is the study generally?
I think they said a couple of months.
And then would there be an official report reporting back?
Yeah. They're doing it independently. It's not like when a lot of these businesses do a traffic study, basically the traffic study is what the business wants it to say. So these guys are going to do their thing. In 1989, the last one we had, and if you want to stop in tomorrow, Nicole can give you a copy of it. It basically says that people were driving too fast in 1989, and the issues were basically the same as that we have now. People were driving too fast, and we didn't have as many stop signs even then, but they were just driving too. They suggested more police enforcement. The conclusion of the 1989 study was more police enforcement. So we want that to be a little more life into that now. I think there's more options now. So
Of course, you probably have more pedestrian traffic also now than 1989.
I think so, but not as much. We still have 1,100 houses and we still have 3,300 people. It hasn't really grown so much. So I know there's more kids and all now, but they're replenishing the kids that were here in the 80s. So our population has not gone up or down. So we're basically the same as back then. So it's going to be interesting to see. Again, if Nicole can make a couple extra copies, we will have them here. We have it online, right?
We don't have it online, but I have it electronically,
Yeah.
so I could put it online.
It's very general information, and you buzzed right through it. So I thought it would be more detailed, but it really wasn't. So.
Did they give you guys an outline of what they're going to be doing, how they're going to proceed with this traffic study?
Well, they do car counting and they do speed. So that's their biggest thing. Their numbers are they count the volume and the speed. That's pretty much most of what their information is. So
I think the breakdown is in the packet.
it's in the, is it?
I don't know if I
It's in the packet, Nick, that tell me what they're gonna exactly
They have
do?
a two-page summary.
I don't think I put it in everyone's packet. This might be in there, but I have it here if anybody wants.
You can have mine, please.
Yeah, the 2 pages is basically speed and numbers. So, again, we hope to have that in 3 months, in time for the spring.
So will they monitor how many cars go down each street? Is that the whole account?
Yeah,
They set up those things?
yeah,
Right.
yeah, but, again, where the issue of Peters and Ackerson Field, there being a cut through,
Right.
you know, so, if you said, you don't see that many cars, so, we'll see. The numbers on North Windsor and Windsor were incredible. The thousands they were saying each day on those blocks, and that's in the existing traffic study. What was it, 7,200 or so?
I forget exactly.
The number was insane. It was like 7,200 cars go on Windsor every day, and that seems like a big number. So we'll see. I can't imagine that being it. Anything else?
How much was the increase by the Bishop Fire Department this year?
$44,000.
$44,000.
Right. So last year we raised our budget 2%. It was basically $44,000. So
What's their basis for raising it over?
equipment, training. The Bayshore Fire Department now is being hammered with federal government regulations from OSHA to increase their training and their equipment. So when we have our SCOVA meetings, one of the discussions is that, like Amityville has their own fire department, Lindenhurst basically has their own fire department, and they feel that the government and the unions want to eventually push the volunteer firemen out of business and make them more pay. So by increasing the requirements constantly of their training and their equipment, that's the way they're trying to do it. So, and their discussion, and they had no answer, with Bayshore, it doesn't help with all the apartments, that now they need different equipment to get some of the high areas. So, again, if you go per house, I don't have the number, but Brightwater still pays less per house than Bayshore or West Bayshore does. So I could have that at the next meeting.
Imagine that's coming to an end.
So,
That will pay less.
That's differences.
yeah. Well, they got increased too. Everybody,
We got the same increase.
they got the same increase?
Is this negotiable, and do you guys negotiate this
We're
issue?
not allowed.
It's not negotiated.
It used to be that you negotiated the contract.
No. Well,
Not since I've been on the board.
it's not a negotiated number.
We don't even have a say, so it's annoying, it's very frustrating.
We don't have representation on the fire board, and Bob has experience in his other village that you got to watch what you wish for. If you want a seat at the board and they expand the district to include Brightwater, then you're actually paying the same number as Bayshore. You could be paying more. What was that, by Nessequa, one of those places you were saying at one time?
Well, the village of Head of the Harbor opted finally to join the St. James Fire District. Just so they could vote on the fire commissioners and have a seat at the table when they're deciding how to spend their money.
Right.
So they went that way, but that ended up in a reduction of village tax, but an increase in their general tax. I don't know if it was a wash of what the bottom line was, but they gave up. They waved the white flag with negotiating and having these talks every year. They couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah, the ambulance one, is flexible because of the way they're billing it all now. We don't have our numbers yet as we get towards the end of the year. But right now, we're obligated to pay $100,000 to the ambulance, but they're billing people for their services. So last year, I believe out of the 100, we were obligated to pay $50,000. So now this year, hopefully it's a little less. We don't budget 100, I think we're only budgeting around 70 or 75. So anything we save under that, we're hoping we can continue to save. So, but as far as the fire, I'm basically handed it, and they're telling me to take it or leave it. I don't believe there was any really true negotiating in the past. I think there was discussions, but I think the discussions were this at the end is this is your bill. So, all right. Anybody, anything else?
One thing, more or less when it comes to, I know you guys are looking at the protection agency for security, but why are we not pressuring something? I feel like every month it's like they don't want to be bothered, but we pay them the tax as well, and we're paying a service, but we're not getting anything in return. So I just feel like they should be driving around, and there's got to be another avenue for us to, because we get the same report every month, right?
Yeah.
And at some point, they're not saying, hey, let's take it, we'll take less money for you guys. They're still collecting money from us as a tax, and we're gonna have to go outsource this. So now we got fire tax increase. Eventually, Bayshore Rescue will come knock on the door, I'm sure, because we're getting Bayshore's not Bayshore, it's Neola now. So we're gonna pay a police service now or a security service in the future, which I don't disagree with. We have to do something, but have we not exhausted all of our meetings with Suffolk yet? Like we went to the community meeting at Bayshore Library, and nothing really came out of that. I feel like for us as well, yeah, it's the speed stuff, and I do agree that maybe reducing the speed may help a little bit, for people driving around, but there's some people who just don't care. But Suffolk has to come in the village and do enforcement. And Bob Hole's asked him to come in and do it a week before the meeting isn't helping us, 30 days in a month. So I feel like we gotta, maybe the commander needs to come here or something. We tried it with them, at some point, we're gonna outsource everything. People are walking around the neighborhoods at night. They're walking around during the day, knocking on doors, soliciting. We have nothing going on here. We're kind of protecting ourselves here. And it's frustrating.
Their district, unfortunately, is Bayshore, Brentwood. Their precinct covers everywhere, and their resources are limited. So for them to say, I need a car on Lombardian or Anoco 5 hours a day.
I'm not saying there, just in the village in general. You never see the car driving around.
I do, every day. They're in our village every single day.
They're not by me, and they're not in the areas that are getting affected, which is a crime statistic. So they should be doing directed patrols.
I agree and disagree.
They should be doing directed patrols in that area. They should be.
The woman just said she's been going down Lombardi. Listen, I hear your frustration, but don't embellish the facts. I see this. They're in a car in Brightwoods every single day. They're in a zone. This zone is here. And if they have an emergency, they leave the village, but they're here every single day.
All right. Well, I'm not embellishing anything. I'm just saying that there are people walking around. There are people going in people's yards.
Not disagreeing with that.
But it's got to stop. It's got to be a little more. It's got to be a little more proactive. Of something here.
If I see somebody walking down my block that I think doesn't belong there, I'll call the police. You guys need to do that.
I do.
That's the solution.
I do.
Okay, I go into the next step, looking into the other service. That'll support the police's actions. Okay, we're not going to take over policing the village. That's not what this service does. But they are retired or active police people that will be a little more active.
Well, I just want to interject. I can agree with Mike here, and not to you. If you do see them, maybe it's because you're off Montauk and it's more open. We're in an area that's pretty much, if you want to say wooded. We don't see them. I definitely don't see them on the Lombardi Boulevard. We went to the meeting and we saw an uptick for a week maybe. They're not in our area. They're just not. And that's why they're not.
They probably are not in your area as much as you want them, but they're definitely in your area. I'll say that. That's a different. That's
I don't see it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, they can't just patrol one block.
No,
I mean,
of course
you gotta
not.
be honest.
Of course not. But we don't.
Their job is to zone.
Of course, but I'm saying they're not up and down these streets.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think they basically admitted the fact that they have limited resources and the area that they have to patrol between Bayshore and Brentwood, Brightwoods, they don't have enough people. They don't have enough manpower, and they're prioritizing the issues. And our stuff to them, it's not as high of a priority apparently. So that's why the only way that I see this changing, I mean, everyone can keep making phone calls, but it's not going to change the fact that if they don't see it as a priority, then we have to do it ourselves.
I'm not disagreeing. I think that we should do something.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the code guys during the day, his presence during the day, and I think that we do need something. I'm not disagreeing with that, but I also think that we need to kind of something has to happen with Suffolk with the village. It can't just be like they're in CI or they're in Brentwood. Because I get that, and like I do this professionally. I 100% get it, but it doesn't give the excuse that it starts with the popping the handles, right? And so it's the pet larcenies on the property. Now the window breaks, the grab and goes, and eventually it's going to be that the guy next to me who's 90 years old stay home with me. Like those are the little things that are happening. I call when I see people on a domestic walking up down the block, and I wait. I follow them to make sure they go outside the village, but they don't show up. Readily available, fine. But there's got to be some open dialogue, right? Between I'm not saying you guys, but they need to we need somebody higher than just a patrol officer. I feel like to come to this meeting and answer the questions even after. So it's not on camera on Facebook and whatever. That's my frustration is that we don't see them. And
Okay, you guys got the meeting that I was at at the library. There was 200 people there. Everyone's going crazy. Blah blah blah. The world's going to change. Blah blah blah. And then 2 weeks later, I went to the chamber meeting and they didn't talk about it at all until the very end when I brought it up. So they were totally ignoring it. So now it's 2 months later. What's happened? What's changed? Really nothing. So, and that's a shame. But that's again, I'm worried more about it in the village. I'm not worried about downtown Bayshore. That's not my problem. But again, we're looking into this other service. If our performance is going to be better, I think that'll be better for everybody in the village. You just have to pay for it, figure it out. All right?
But that is something that I'll look into. I'll speak to somebody at the 3rd precinct and see if we could get, somebody, whatever, or somebody to come to the meeting. And we, if we can find out when it is, we'll have people that can speak to them.
Yep. All right. Anything else?
One more question on the payment to All-Way Electric for $7,500. What exactly are they doing? They're removing?
Yeah, on Howells Road, we had the lights. I don't know whether it was 15 years ago or so. They redid Howells Road, and they put these nice lampposts a foot from the road. Once the county was finished with it, it was like, okay, thanks, we're all done. Village of Brightwater, you're in charge of these lampposts. So now, every couple of months, one of those lampposts are being knocked over by a car. We replace them. We have to pay to replace them because they're breakaway. They're not meant to be concrete on the bottom so a car stops. They're meant if a car backs into it or hits it, it falls down so the people in the car don't get hurt. So we were constantly replacing the poles at $6,000 or $7,000 a piece. By the deli, by Mulberry Street, by the Exxon station, they kept getting knocked down. So the board looked at this and we were like, why do we keep paying to put these things back up? We had insurance, but it wasn't covering the whole thing. At first we did have insurance, then we got insurance, and then they're thinking we're out of our minds because these things, we're calling them every other month saying another pole's been knocked down. So then we needed a police report. There's no police report, the pole's on the ground. So instead of, keep doing the same thing over and over again, we abandoned, I think it was 5. Yeah, 4 of them weren't even there because they were knocked down. There were cones there probably for 6 months. And then the one they took down because then they were able to disconnect the whole row there. So Now, the Exxon station is going to be doing a lot of work and cleaning themselves up with some vegetation and lighting and painting and all. So they're going to clean themselves up. I know, I think Pat was friend at Mulberry Street was talking to their landlord about trying to dress up that shopping center a little bit.
They painted it.
So, so we're trying to clean up the area, but we were tired of replacing the poles. Like, we weren't allowed to put ballards to protect the poles. We can't do that because then someone in the car will get hurt. But for the life of me, I can't understand why everybody was running these poles over. And right by the deli, Bright Bay Deli, that one there, as soon as we put it up, 2 weeks later, it's knocked out. And it made no difference. Either people were making the turns too tight, or you hit a pole. So now we abandoned those poles. They did all the wiring. They put concrete over it, and now they're done. So, we didn't like doing it, but now that the storage place is done, and we could get the Exxon station to clean up. Peter Pan hasn't given us any plans lately, but he's going to start.
Is he going to reduce the size of his building?
I think he wants to keep the same now. He's going to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was the last thing. Okay. So when he'll be cleaning it up a little bit more. So we hope to clean up that area a little bit, but see what we can do. Anybody else? Nick?
This architectural review change, you mentioned that if there's any work being done, there's change to the exterior of the building. And I assume that if you're painting a building, same color it is, you're changing an awning that's there, you're changing a light that's there, with the same kind of light. You don't need a permit, you don't need to go through the Board of Trustees, that whole process.
That's correct, because if it doesn't change the physical appearance, the physical exterior appearance.
So you change it this way. There's also a situation here of a change to the interior of the building.
I think if you're changing the interior of the building, you need a permit anyway, so I don't.
That's just for making changes to the interior.
Sorry, what's that?
Painting and things like that.
Yeah, no. Just exterior. Just exterior. Just exterior.
Yeah, any normal permits, of course, your plumbing, electric, partition changes, fine, but as far as painting, wallpaper, no. If you have any other questions on that, Nick, please send an email to us and we'll review that also. All right, anybody else? All right, I make a motion to close the meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Watch the time.
I like my bike idea. They did the front yard.
This is an easy way. Sometimes people are I have one. I really do.
Yeah.
No.
Working on it. Yeah.